but just kind of breaking in the Super Mini feels like a wheelie going up every hill and going down every straightaway.
You clicked on a video about a motocross kid. That word alone tells you how most people underestimate him. 20 years old, 3 years into a professional career, already winning championships, already dividing an entire sport. He's got a nickname from childhood, a famous dad, and more social media followers than some cities have people. You might be expecting a story about hype, a manufactured star, a fast rise that flames out just as quickly. But this isn't about a kid who was handed a path. It's about one who was given a blueprint for winning races, dominating headlines, and becoming the most polarizing force in his sport, whether it likes him or not. And from the moment he turned pro, everyone lined up to try and take him down. The first line of any blueprint is the foundation. For Haiden Deegan, that foundation was built early and built on dirt. Temecula, California, January 10th, 2006. Born into a last name that wasn't just known in motocross, it was legendary.
Race of the year. I don't know that anybody's going to be able to top that.
Hey, I'm just going to say that was gnarly. I feel bad to show the chef there's a new kitchen in town. My bad. No, that was good. I'm being real. I felt bad. I went to do emote after. I'm like, dog, that was the gnarliest battle I have ever had racing. We were going back and forth. I mean, I don't know what to say. That was the
His father, Brian Deegan, wasn't just a racer. He was a founder of freestyle motocross, an X Games icon.
That's sick. No one's done it yet.
The face of Metal Militia. This wasn't a family that played sports. They lived inside of them. The influence wasn't subtle. Haiden was on a bike at 3, but this is where the first misconception cracks. This wasn't a stage dad forcing a legacy. Watch the old home videos. The look on the kid's face wasn't pressure. It was pure, unfiltered obsession. A group of Brian's friends saw a tiny Haiden launch off a BMX jump with a fearlessness that didn't match his size. The nickname stuck immediately. Danger Boy. It was cute for a 7-year-old, but nicknames have power. They become expectations. Danger Boy wasn't a label about being reckless. It was a forecast, a prediction of a style, an attitude, a brand that was being built in real time, one jump at a time. The amateur career wasn't just successful. It was a systematic demolition of every junior class. Loretta Lynn's titles piled up, but the true signature moment, the one that broke the narrative of just being a fast kid, happened when he was 10 years old. In a foam pit, and then to dirt on a KTM 65, Haiden Deegan executed a backflip. He became the youngest rider to ever do it. It wasn't about the trick itself. It was about what it revealed. Not because he had to, because he wanted to. The message was clear. Racing was the priority, but fear was not a factor. The danger was now a documented skill. His dad asked him afterwards if he wanted to do freestyle. Hayden's response was telling. I'm sticking to racing. He wasn't just playing a game. He was reading the blueprint. Racing was the main structure. The flair, the showmanship, the fearlessness. That was the exterior design. It brought eyes, but the foundation had to be results. The amateur accolades kept coming. Super Mini championships, dominant wins, but whispers followed the success. The narrative from critics was set. Nepotism. The rich kid with the best bikes, the best training, cherry-picking races. The assumption was that when he turned pro, when the bikes were equal, the myth would collapse. They were waiting for him to crumble. They didn't realize he'd already been tested. 2022, Ironman Raceway, the professional debut. This was the first real test. No more junior bikes, no more amateur label. This was the big leagues, and everyone was watching Danger Boy, waiting for the first sign of a crack. Moto 1. He's running solid, inside the top 10. Then, a hard crash. He remounts, finishes outside the points. Moto 2. A rough 24th place. The critics smiled. See? Told you. All hype. The pressure of the real pros was too much. They missed what happened next. He didn't fade. He didn't make excuses. He got back to work. because the blueprint had a specific instruction for pressure, a line Haiden himself would later articulate in an interview. I think the pressure helps me perform better. I flip a switch and go into work mode.
I don't know. Honestly, the plan was like this year I just won a few races maybe, you know, and then next year was my championship year, right? Like that was my goal to try and get a championship next year, but to win 3 championships by the time I was 18, that's definitely blew my goals definitely off the list.
The switch. That's the core of the second phase, the mental architecture. It's not about ignoring pressure. It's about converting it, using the noise, the expectations, the doubt, as fuel for a colder, more focused engine. 2023, his first full professional season, Supercross. He finishes second in the 250SX East Championship. Not a win, but a statement. He belonged. Then, outdoors, pro motocross. This is where the switch got flipped permanently. Redbud, America's motocross temple, packed with the most knowledgeable, passionate, and brutal fans in the sport. Haiden Deegan gets his first professional overall victory. The crowd erupts. It's a coronation on the biggest stage. The kid they saw on YouTube was real, and now he was winning where it mattered most. But a single win doesn't make a champion. Consistency does, and something changed in his riding. The raw speed was always there. Now, a calculated control layered on top of it. Watch the Washougal race from that 2023 season. He wins both motos, but it's how he wins the second one. And the final laps, with a comfortable lead, he doesn't cruise, he pins it. He puts down what commentators called a lap of the gods, stretching his lead by over 10 seconds in a single lap. That wasn't riding for the win. That was riding to break people. The switch wasn't just for handling pressure, it was for applying it. He was building a gap in the point standings and a bigger gap in the minds of his competitors. The season had its setbacks, a bike failure at Unadilla, but the blueprint accounted for setbacks. They weren't failures, they were plot points. The story needed tension. It all led to the SuperMotocross World Championship finale in Los Angeles, a brand new 3-race playoff format to crown one overall champion. The Super Bowl of motocross. Haiden Deegan won it, his first major professional title, in his first full year. The narrative of hype officially died. It was replaced with a new one, Phenom. But one title can be a fluke. The true test of a blueprint is if it can build something that lasts. 2024, the defense begins, and the machine, in every sense of the word, kicks into a higher gear. The 2024 Pro Motocross season wasn't a competition, it was a demonstration. He dominated. 5 overall wins, 9 moto wins, a 69-point championship victory. He made it look easy, which is the hardest thing to do in motocross. His riding style crystallized. It was aggressive, precise, and intimidating. He talked about making huge gains on his speed in the offseason, about that speed now feeling comfortable. When speed becomes comfortable, that's when you become terrifying to everyone else. He defended his SuperMotocross title, 3 major championships in 2 professional years. The fluke argument was obliterated. But winning races only builds a resume. It doesn't, by itself, make you the biggest thing in motocross. For that, you need a second engine, and Haiden's was running at full throttle online. His social media presence exploded. 2 million Instagram followers, a massive YouTube presence, both on his own channel and the family's The Deegans channel. He understood the assignment perfectly. It's helped me introduce so many people to the sport who wouldn't have followed motocross, he said.
Yeah, I think it's just, instinct. I'm just raised as an aggressive kid, so I think it kind of correlates to how I ride, but...
He showed the championships, the hard work, the crashes, but he also showed the other side. A teenager goofing off, buying a sports car with his championship money, living a life. He was accessible, he was charismatic, and he was polarizing. He wasn't just selling motocross, he was selling Haiden Deegan. The brand and the racer were becoming inseparable. The income reflected this: a team salary, major championship bonuses, sponsor money that extended far beyond the paddock. Sponsorships outside the team, like Ford. The business of Haiden Deegan was booming. He was winning on the track and winning in the marketplace. But in motorsports, there's a price for that kind of ascent. A target gets painted on your back. And the pressure doesn't just come from the stopwatch, it comes from the noise. You can't become the biggest thing in a sport without making some enemies, without creating controversy. Haiden Deegan didn't just accept this, he seemed to feed on it. The incident with Joe Shimoda at the 2025 Las Vegas SMX round was a flashpoint. Aggressive racing, contact, a crash. The motocross world split into camps. Was it dirty? Was it just hard racing? Debates raged online for weeks. Hayden's response was pure, unapologetic Deegan. A lot of people have never been in that position. I did as best as I could. Whether people agree or not, honestly, that's how I was going to do it. He didn't back down. He didn't issue a soft apology. He stood by his instinct in the heat of the moment. It fueled the critics who called him arrogant. It solidified the fans who loved his relentlessness. Then came the arrest. March 2025, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. Allegations of street racing and stunt driving in a sports car. This was the kind of off-track moment that usually changes a career. The traditional playbook says, release a sober apology video, express regret to fans and sponsors, lay low. Haiden Deegan threw that playbook in the trash. Within hours of his release, Deegan posted his own mugshot to Instagram set to the Bad Boys theme from Cops. No apology, no distancing, no attempt to soften the moment. The marketing move was genius, or insane depending on who you asked. It completely controlled the narrative. He took a negative news story and turned it into a piece of personal branding. It was a masterclass in not letting the noise define you. Instead, he amplified the noise himself and changed its frequency. This is the razor's edge he walks on. Is it confidence or arrogance? Is it authenticity or contrived rebellion? His own father, Brian, in a YouTube documentary, seemed to acknowledge the shift. The kid wasn't just following a blueprint anymore, he was editing it in real time.
He was just unnaturally fast. He ended up being the best kid in the nation. So once that happened, it was...
He leaned into rivalries. He called out other riders in interviews. He framed himself as the American contender against riders like the Australian Lawrence brothers, tapping into a patriotic narrative. I'm glad I can put the American up front, he said after a win, a line that some saw as divisive, others as pure competitive fire. The noise was constant. Media headlines, social media hate, social media adoration, every move dissected. And through it all, the results kept coming. The 2025 250 SX West Championship, dominant outdoor performances. The machine on the track did not falter. If anything, the noise seemed to make it run hotter. I want to get back to winning on this thing and prove people wrong, he said late in 2025. That's been my goal since I was an amateur. I feel like that's my responsibility now. The pressure wasn't a burden, it was a responsibility, a fuel source, the ultimate test of the switch. The moment you become the biggest name in the room, the dynamic changes. You stop racing the track and start racing everyone else's intent. By late 2024 and into 2025, Haiden Deegan wasn't just the standard, he was the target. Every gate drop carried a little extra edge, late braking, aggressive lines, no space given. Riders didn't just want to beat him, they wanted to be the one who slowed him down, rattled him, or exposed him. In motocross, respect is earned by speed, and Deegan had more of it than anyone else in the class. You could see it in the way races unfolded around him. The starts mattered more, the first laps were sharper, any opening was taken, any mistake was punished. Racing him cleanly was no longer enough. To win, riders had to disrupt him, and Deegan knew it. He didn't complain about it, he didn't play the victim, he leaned into it. If they were going to hunt him, he'd force them to chase at his pace. He rode harder early, he took control of races before chaos could set in. He made rivals burn their energy trying to stay close, and then broke them when it mattered most. This is where the perception gap widened. To some fans, this was confidence turning into arrogance. To others, it was the natural evolution of a champion who understood the game. Either way, the result was the same. Every race involving Haiden Deegan felt heavier, louder, more emotional. He wasn't just winning anymore, he was now shaping how races were ridden around him. That pressure doesn't fade, it compounds. Every win raises expectations. Every aggressive moment gets replayed. Every mistake gets magnified, and the margin for error disappears. Most riders shrink when the spotlight turns hostile. Deegan did the opposite. The hunt sharpened him. He became more calculated, more aware, more deliberate about when to apply pressure and when to absorb it. The switch wasn't just about speed anymore. It was about control of races, of narratives, of momentum. By the time the season pushed forward, the message was clear. You could chase Haiden Deegan. You could try to disrupt him. But if you missed your shot, he'd make you pay for it. And that's when a contender becomes something else entirely. You can't talk about Haiden Deegan without talking about Brian Deegan. The shadow is long, and it's not a passive one. It's an active, shaping force. Brian wasn't a traditional sports dad. He was a pioneer of an entire motocross subculture. Freestyle, built on rebellion, showmanship, and doing the impossible. He didn't just teach Haiden how to ride. He taught him how to think, how to market, how to fight. The lessons weren't always gentle. The family's YouTube channel showed a parenting style built on tough love, on pushing limits, on never accepting doubt. Brian instilled a psychological fortitude that is Hayden's most impenetrable armor. A lot of things people say and do towards me, most 19-year-olds would shut down, Haiden admitted. I've had a family structure behind me that have built me so tough that it's unbreakable. It's the unbreakable part that separates him. When he loses, he doesn't spiral. He gets angry, then he gets to work. The blueprint has no chapter for quitting. But the father's legacy is a double-edged sword. It provided every tool, but it also created the nepotism critique that Haiden has spent his entire career disproving. It gave him a platform, but it also set a standard of outrageous success that he must constantly meet. The fascinating evolution is seeing Haiden take those tools and build something entirely his own. Brian's legacy was freestyle motocross and the Metal Militia brand, counterculture, punk rock on two wheels. Hayden's legacy is shaping up to be a total domination in mainstream professional racing, amplified through the modern megaphone of digital media. He took the rebellious spirit and channeled it into a focused, competitive fury. He's not riding in his father's shadow. He's using it as a launch pad. Every great story needs a great antagonist. For Haiden Deegan, that role is waiting, perfectly cast, in the 450 class. Jet Lawrence. The comparison is inevitable. Lawrence, the Australian prodigy, moved to the 450 class and immediately redefined dominance. A perfect 22-0 season. A jet sweep of Supercross and Motocross titles as a rookie. He's been called Jordan-esque by promoters. He's the present and future king. Haiden has dominated the 250 class. Jet has dominated the 450s. They've never raced each other in America, and the entire sport is holding its breath for the moment they do. The media frames it as the next great rivalry, Carmichael versus Stewart for a new generation. The methodical, overpowering Australian versus the aggressive, charismatic American. The established champion versus the hungry challenger. Even the legends see it coming. Ricky Carmichael and James Stewart have both pointed to the matchup as something the sport hasn't seen before, a level of speed and skill that raises the ceiling for everyone involved. The plan is now set. August 2025, Haiden re-signed with Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing on a multi-year deal. The blueprint for the next phase is official. 2026, he'll race one more 250 Supercross season, then move up to the 450 for the Outdoor Motocross Series and the SMX playoffs. The collision course is scheduled. This is the final test of the Danger Boy blueprint. Can it scale? Can the mindset that crushed the 250 class work against the most dominant rider of his generation? Can the social media fame, the controversy, the unbreakable mental focus survive in the premier class where the bikes are faster, the competition is fiercer, and the spotlight is infinitely hotter? Everything that built Haiden Deegan is about to be tested at full scale. What's your take on the Danger Boy phenomenon? Is he the shot in the arm motocross needs, or is the hype train destined to derail? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. The next story is already lined up. Thanks for watching, and stay wicked.